Gone live. All right. All right, there we go. Hey, everybody. We're just starting a couple like 1 second early. There we are. It's 5 o'clock here at Las Vegas in the Pacific Standard Time, and we're here with Ken Lang, my guest. And this is going to be like an actual live lesson. I'm going to be showing him how to learn from James Taylor because that's one of his favorite artists. And we'll be going through a process of using Melodyne to myth bust to show you how James Taylor actually sings pitch and rhythm-wise. And then we'll look at sheet music and what that sounds like with the song that James did. And then after that, we'll look at Audacity, where Ken will actually be learning how to match him so that he can make that part of his artistry. Okay, cool. Ken, can you tell us a little bit about James and why you selected him?
Well, you know, James is an oldie but goodie. He started young back in the late 60s.
Oh, yeah. In fact, I'll show you a picture of him. I've got that to pull up on the screen. There he is.
There you go.
A young man.
Anyway, one of my very first cassettes was his release of Sweet Baby James. Mm-hmm. And I listened to that a lot over the years.
Great song.
And as he's matured, so have some of us. He's a remarkable, humble musician. He has a very unique guitar style that is almost, it's kind of like everybody wants to write like Ernest Hemingway.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants to play like James Taylor. And he just, I've given up. I just do my kind of my own thing and throw in a little bit. There's some work around the A chord on this song that you can get and sort of fake it a little bit. But
is it let me clear it. Is it a tuning or
no? It's just the way that he plays the melody, and he works through a lot of S2s and S4, sus4s and sus2s.
Oh, okay.
And you know, makes the guitar sound like it's more than just 6 strings in a box.
Right. That's interesting. How does he do that?
Just his style.
Oh, okay. One of those magic things.
Well, and I think part of it is the way his voice is very comfortable.
That's
and
for sure.
It adds to the guitar in a really, you know, it's like the 7th, 8th, 9th string all at one time.
His voice. Yeah. Nowadays they call that swagger.
Yeah.
James got swagger.
He had all of that, but in 1972, he and Carole King and a number of other people from that time, Joan Baez was very active. It was a little bit post-folk. They're not quite pop. They're not quite folk. They fit in a really nice, easy listening, storytelling slot genre.
Mm-hmm. He's had a great career, no question about it. Now, one of the things that we do here, and Ken's been through this, so it's no surprise to him, but for those of you who think or have been taught that great singers have perfect pitch and perfect rhythm in this kind of music is not true, and we're going to bust that myth, as they say, because it's just, if you try to do it the way that it's been taught that way, it just doesn't sound right, and you don't know that because you're doing whatever you think somebody told you should do. I just saw YouTube recently where the teacher was showing a riff. Well, that was great, you know, so slow the riff down and then slowly speed it up. But if you do the riff exactly the way the piano is, then that's not going to sound right because the people who do these riffs don't sing like that. And I don't know if we're going to get to see that with James, but we've seen it on other artists where the riffs are not perfectly in tune and they're not perfectly on pitch. They have a feel to them. That is the word. It's not a magic word. I teach it all the time, and it's one of the things that you'll be learning today, how to feel, how to sing it with feel like a great artist. So let's pull up Melodyne. That's the first thing we do, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Let me get the screen share here. This is live, so you get to hear every little thing I do. Aren't you lucky? Okay, window. Here we go. So again, this is like a live lesson in my studio, except for we're online. Okay, so you can see that, right, Ken? The Melodyne?
I do not see that.
It's not on stage yet. There it is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. My guest also gets to be my producer.
There we go, yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, Brad.
I can't see
Yeah, I know.
thing.
What do you do?
I just took off my glasses, maybe.
The only problem is you can't run in here and slap me aside the head to get me to cooperate. We always have fun. Whether it's a lesson or whether it's these live streams or whether we're just talking as friends, it's always a good time. All right, so here's a section of James Taylor's Carolina on My Mind, which is a major classic. A lot of artists have done it. But James is particularly good. So the first thing we do is just listen, and this is what's called a stem split. So I have taken James' voice completely away from his music, so that all we're hearing and looking at is his voice. Here we go. We're just going to listen first.
In my mind, I'm going Carolina.
That's the audience. Picked up a little bit
Can't
of
you
that
see the sunshine?
through his mic, I
Can't
think.
you just feel the moonshine?
So sounds great, right? I mean, those of us who grew up with him, we would assume that he was perfectly on pitch and perfectly in rhythm, because it just sounds so good. But Melodyne is a software that editors use to correct pitch or rhythm if they want to on a vocal or a guitar line or drums, anywhere they want. We're going to use it for evaluation. So first thing we see here is that this note here is sharp. And we can see it when I push on that. You can see up here in the little box, it says plus 25 CT, which means percent. And the note is B3. So he's sharp coming in. Kind of weird, huh? It's like, really? He's sharp? That doesn't happen all the time. This note here is 18 cents flat. And look at the rhythm. This one's actually comes in pretty good. This is see, this is in 3/4 time. So this is 1 and 2 and 3 and. So he's coming right in here on the end of, say, 1 and 2 and 3. So that's going to be 2 bars. 1 and 2 and 3 and then no, that's right at the beginning of the bar. Let me slide this here a little bit so I can see what I'm talking about. All right, so the bar starts here, 1 and 2 and. He comes right in on the end, and then on 3 he's a little early. So da da da, so ba da da, not ba da da. So that's his feel. That's what he does. We're not going to argue with it. We're going to just say, "Wow, great, James, way to go." Here is actually right on pitch, and he does it again, right there. Now that's a little sharp. That just before he comes down to this note, which is flat, and this one here, 13 cents flat, and so on. You don't have to look at all these, but we're just busting the myth. Great singers, and we looked at Aretha Franklin the other day, who's one of the greatest classics of last century, and she was sharp all over the place. It was amazing. It surprised me. You know, I mean, I teach, but I hear really well when people are flat, but I'm not used to hearing people sing sharp, so I didn't pick it up. All right, so just take again, look at this. He's not following the rules. The last time we worked with Shannon and we were taking a look at Ariana Grande, she said, yeah, you've got to know the rules to break them. So yeah, if you've got basic music and you understand 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and those are the pulses and those are the beats, and everybody is basically playing those beats, that's correct. But in today's music, even though this was a fairly recent recording, it's not being done exactly like the rules. It's being done around them. So he just feels it. But it'll become much clearer to you when we start actually having Ken learn it. All right, so we can stop sharing this. And next we're going to take a look at what sheet music sounds like when you try to learn from it. And again, I'm not against anything that I'm showing you. I'm just showing you the differences and where I think the strengths and the weaknesses are so that you can learn. Okay, here's the sheet music is right here. And let me get it up on the screen now. It's on my screen. Oh, is it sharing? Can you see it?
Not yet.
Okay, it's okay. I've got to get out of this here. I've got to hide that. Okay. And then here we go. I'll put it on the stage. There it is. Okay. All right. Now, this is kind of neat because along with this sheet music, this is MuseScore, the company that puts these out. It also plays, so it has a little piano part that's playing the notes. And I was going to show us just the end because the end is very different the way James sings it. We're not going to work on that today. But we'll just take it right from here, and you'll hear what this song sounds like if you learn it from the sheet music and a metronome, because this is exactly perfect. This is like what they call quantized. Anyway, just listen now. That's the line we just looked at. Doesn't sound at all like James. We recognize the song, but that's about as far as it goes. Okay. All right, so that's enough of that. We can stop the screen share there. And I'm going to tell you why I think this is so important to understand the difference. When I was teaching back 80s, 90s, the first decade, even the second decade, we used pianists to play the music for the students. And the problem with that is that it doesn't work. The students sang exactly what the sheet music told them to sing. And then I said, that doesn't sound right, doesn't feel right. But I had to use a pianist because we didn't have all of these options that we have now. And Audacity is going to be the game changer here. I'll bring that up in a moment. But let me tell you why it's so important. If you learn perfect pitch and perfect rhythm, that's great if that's what you want, but it's better for theater, choir, classical, or opera. But in this style of music, as you could tell by listening to James and then listening to the sheet music, two different worlds. And you can use sheet music as a reference point, but I wouldn't recommend that you use it to actually learn the song and then go perform it. If you go to karaoke, people are going to go, "Oh, that was interesting." They're not going to cheer you on because it doesn't feel right. One of the other ways that we learn, and we'll talk about this next with Audacity, is we try to just sing along with the artist. And the problem with that is, as I'll show you, is that you can't hear yourself and the artist at the same time. And there's so much information there. All you basically get is the melody and the rhythm, the approximate rhythm. So you need to know more than that if you want to know how James sings in the style he does. Do you remember? Now Ken, of course, doesn't do it that way anymore, and it's still fun, to turn the radio on and sing. I'm not saying don't ever do that, but both Ken and I grew up just putting the record on and singing along, and we both know now that that wasn't the best way to do things. This is a better way. It's not a bad way, but this is a better way. Because the way we're going to do it is Ken will be able to hear just James, exactly how James does things. We're going to slow James down so we can hear all the details. And then when Ken starts to sing along, he's been listening. This is the key, folks. Listening is much more powerful than singing. Singing's part of it, but listening is number one. Any questions, Ken, so far?
Nope.
Any questions you might think the audience has? Wouldn't that be interesting?
Well, one of the questions I think is we see people who have pretty much learned from singing along with the record. They get the microphone and they go with it, and they actually do a halfway decent job. Mm-hmm. So from a qualitative perspective.
It was a big word.
Yeah, big word. But, from the ability to really get down into, as we say, the weeds. This is a much better way to really hear what they're doing. Not so much how they're singing it, but what, actually it's more like how they're singing it rather than what they're singing.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so if you want to sing like Ariana Grande, number one, you got to get up to about a G6. But anyway, how somebody that tiny can get that.
G6, I do that all the time.
Yeah, that big. And she pretty much, she does her live work without Melodyne, from what I understand.
I think you're right, but the thing that we looked at the other day, I think it was tuned.
It was tuned.
I think so.
You can tell.
But her voice is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
She's one of the most accurate artists on the top 40 charts.
Right. Yeah. So if you want to dig into how can James Taylor get away with being sharp and flat, and I'm still sitting here trying to hit the pitch. Right? And I'm not sure I always want to end up where he's at. But I think the other thing that I noticed when you did the sheet music, if you listen to choir compositions, and you can picture in your mind the conductor doing this, that's the arrangement.
Yeah.
They're not going to let you get away with a little bit of slide in the 3/4 time.
Well, you can't.
Yeah.
You know, I've done a little bit of choir. I wasn't really serious, but I just tried for fun. And if everybody's kind of doing their own thing, it's like looking at the universe as chaos.
That's why it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
And the diction has to be extra punched and pushed. And that was another thing that James does not do, and we'll look at that. He does not over-pronunciate as if he was in the choir. He doesn't over-pronunciate like if he was on stage because he uses microphones. He grew up with microphones. He knows how they work, and he's an expert at them, just like Ken is.
Well, and we also know that the audience, especially if they've heard the song, they will fill in the word if you miss it. I have a friend whose husband performed on the Strip as a pianist for many, many years until he passed away. And he said sometimes he would just play the whole wrong thing. Everybody thought he was playing the old standard just like it was written. And he was just messing with the audience. Of course, I'm sure there were substances involved. And, so at some point when you're singing Frank Sinatra song, you really don't care,
That's right. I mean, it's just the feel of everything,
Right.
And,
it's just,
and we have to remember the audiences are not educated like we are. I actually call it our cross to bear because we can't listen to music the way the average person can anymore. It's really hard for us to see it the way they see it.
Oh, it's impossible. And so when my wife says, "Oh, I love it. It just sounded so good," and I'm in here literally picking it apart, that dissonance and that disconnect for a lot of us as singers, and especially those of us who are songwriter storytellers,
This is what Ken is.
It's a challenge.
Now you've got some goals this year for out singing. You want to tell people where you might be or how they can find you?
Well, I'll be wherever anybody invites me to sing and tell my stories and
come on over,
enjoy.
Ken.
Whole lot of company. I'm hoping to do, maybe 3, 4, 5 house concerts, birthday parties. Got a whole lot of friends in the political business, and there'll be some campaigning going on towards the end of the year. And so come along. You get to hear me. You get to drop a few dollars in the pot and participate in the process. I'm also working on laying down most of my songs, at least in what we call scratch tracks, or just to get them down so that I can send them in and have some people work on some background and fluff them up a little bit.
Since this is a lesson, let me chime in. I think we've talked about this, but when you do scratch stuff for other musicians, make sure there's feel. There's a lot of emotion.
Oh, yeah. No, I put, what I've discovered is you only get out of them what you put into it at the front end. If you're just lazing through it, you're going to get a lazy bass track. If you give them something with punch, they'll hit it at a different level. You maybe even get a different rhythm. So instead of you get a so that's my best image of my car when it's not running correctly.
But many songs have been written that way.
Well, I think so.
No, it's true. I heard some stuff, where this old guy, we're old guys, but he was talking about how he wrote this particular hit, and they were asking him why, and he remembered hearing this truck that had a problem with the engine, and the feel of the way it was missing gave him an idea, gave him a groove, gave him a rhythm to work with, and he said, this is cool, and then he based the whole song on it. So, yeah, you said something actually very powerful, just kind of off the cuff.
Well, I was listening to Paul Simon, another person out of this era.
Great guy.
And somebody asked him, what do you start with? And he said, I always start with the rhythm. And for as complex as his songs are, both, music, in terms of their, what is the word I'm looking for? They're very difficult to play. It takes kind of a full band.
Yeah, especially that stuff he did with this Africana influence.
So, but he started out, he says, I start out with the beat, then I get the music, and then I get the words.
Yeah,
so,
everybody does it different. But that is a great way. There's a guy that writes for with Taylor Swift, and he always starts with a groove too, but before he writes the lyrics, and he'll even come up with a melody without any lyrics. And then he'll try to fit lyrics into it. And he says, actually, he doesn't care if the lyrics make sense, which is interesting. They don't make sense. As long as the groove's there, as long as it feels there, then he's happy. And he and her have had some great success. Now, her being a great lyric writer, maybe she took care of that for him. So, we're covering all kinds of things, guys. Make sure you follow this. Let me put up this little guy here. Like and subscribe, you're learning something, so I would imagine you like it. And if you subscribe, you'll know when my next show is going to be, because I don't have a regular schedule, because my teaching is my love. My one-on-one with people is my love. And so I do this when I have time. And especially right now with the holidays, I've got time to do several of these. So if you subscribe, you'll know that they're coming up, and you can watch them, and then you can chat in the open line. Ken, do you see your chat window on your end?
It says chat with everyone in the studio.
Okay, so Ken's there. I'm too busy to see that stuff, but if you want to chat in, maybe he'll see it and tell me what's going on, and we can reply. You can get some of your questions answered, because this is a paradigm shift of the. Actually, it's really not much more than a paradigm shift. It's what's the other term, Ken? When your mind goes 180 on something.
Well, you use paradigm shift, so you use my favorite word.
Yeah, but there's another. There's one that's more intense than that. It's like It's like taking on a new philosophy or something. Anyway, the point is that we've been brought up, or we've been taught by various people one way, and we've loved the way that these artists do it, and we didn't know they were doing it different. And one of the reasons is because the radio and the marketing. We believe these people are perfectly on pitch and on tune because we love them and we think they're great, and I think they're great. I think they're better than perfectly on pitch and perfectly in tune. That's kind of my whole point here. They're better than quote unquote perfect. They are the standard. So in this style of music, James is one of the standards. The way, like Ken says, the way he played, the way he write, the songs he chose, the way he sings, the kind of relaxed way that he just kind of. He's not trying to impress anybody. He's just doing his thing, and everybody loves him because of that. Anyway, let's move on to actually helping Ken learn something, and you guys follow along. I do have a video program available. The QR code is on the left upper hand corner, where I take you from the very beginning of this process to the very end of a complete song. And you can put any song you want into my program because you're using Audacity, and it's a free, it's called a DAW, D-A-W. It's free, and you can put any song you want in there, and then just follow along with the way that I do things, and then you will know how your greatest artists sing. So we've taken it right here where Ken has chosen the line he wants to learn. One of the things I do to make this simple is I pick this spot, and then I push play, and then when we get to the end of the phrase, we're going to take one phrase at a time, and I'll explain why in a moment. I'm going to click pause, and that's going to create something that you'll see. Here it comes. Oh, I'm in the wrong window. Okay, here we go.
From Carolina in my mind, it's a holy host of others stand around you.
Okay, right there. So I've created a line here, and these are called pencil lines by Audacity, and one here. So now I'm going to highlight from the left to the right. Somebody's texting me. I'm going to turn that off. So the left to the right, so that we have just that one section. Now, the very beginning part of the section is to help Ken know where the rhythm is, to know where the feel is. Then the second part is the actual phrase that he'll be listening to. Now, what we're going to do is loop it, which with this little square right here. Now we can play repeat, repeat, repeat. We're going to listen.
Brad, let's see what you got. I think you caught the second piece
All right, let me play it.
About the Holy Army or something.
Okay, hold on. I thought this was it right here. It's not
Well,
the-
let's. I've got the Going to Carolina in my mind, Kenized,
Oh,
or
okay.
KBIs. Let's do that section on the second part. In fact,
that I just played.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. So that way you learn something new, right? You haven't Kenized it yet, right?
Well, and that's a really powerful transition in the song.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like the lift. Well, he's got some songs where there's definitely a minor lift, or there's an
I
intensification.
think, is it a key change? It could be a key change.
Could be. Let's see.
And then sometimes you can actually inside of a key, guys. If you do much with music theory, you can make it sound like your key change by kind of taking the same melody and the same basic chord structure and moving it up a third or a fifth, and it still works in the key that you're in. Okay, so basically, you would think the first thing we would do is just listen to this at the original tempo. And actually, I don't usually do that, but because there's people here that have no idea what's going on, I want to just play this a few times, and Ken and I will be listening, and then I'll show you where the magic really starts. But let's listen to it a couple of times, getting kind of used to what James does. Okay, it didn't loop. Why didn't it loop? Oh, I see. An earlier loop interfered. Okay, here we go. Now it'll play over and over again without having to stop and start. So right here we want to feel the beat. One more time. Okay, so even at that speed, because I've been doing this so long, I can hear quite a few things. But if I really want to understand James, I want to slow it down. And they do this in sports all the time. I don't know why singers are not doing this. It's really actually quite logical. But in Audacity, we can go to Effect and then to Pitch and Tempo. You'll see it right here. And we can select how much slower the song is going to go. He's going fairly slow already, so we're going to go minus 30%. I may change my mind after we hear it a few times. If you're using Audacity, make sure and click this Use High Quality Stretch box, because it sounds so much better played back when it's this way. Then always click Preview to kind of get an idea of where you are. Okay, we're good. So then we click Apply. Now we're going to just listen at this tempo for this particular situation. We're only going to listen to it a couple of times. But if Ken was to take this and work on it by himself, I would suggest that he'd listen 20 or 30 times. And I know people are like, what, 20 or 30 times? Isn't that laborious? No. You will be amazed at how much information there is just in this one phrase. And so as you're hearing it and noticing it, it gets more and more interesting, at least for most of us anyway. Now, if it doesn't get more interesting, maybe this is the wrong idea for you. But if you are getting more interested, then this is exactly where you should be practicing. Here we go. argue with Melodyne a little bit. I don't think that's in 3/4 time. It sounds like 4/4 to me.
No, it's 4/4. I was wondering when you said 3/4.
Yeah, well, when you look at the line that shows you the bar, and then you look at the eighth notes, there was only 12 of them. So it should have been 16. It was 4/4 time. So anyway, but you can't trust everything, guys, right? But we know now. We feel it. It's definitely 4/4 time, and like Ken said, it's very powerful. And it, it's almost the way it was written. If they took it and made it into theater, it would sound like it would not work at all in this world. But the rhythm and the way it was written kind of reminds me of something very dramatic. But this is as dramatic as it gets for James. I don't think I've heard him do any. Have you heard him do anything more dramatic, Ken?
I'd have to dig back. Most of his stuff is about at the same intensity.
Yeah, he's a chill guy. People would say he's got swagger.
Well, his intensity is in the shape of the lyrics and the content.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll talk about that. So first we learn phrasing, and then we'll talk about content and feel and what do the words mean and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, Ken's going to want to jump ahead because he's been through this before. But here we go. So are you ready to sing it, Ken?
Sure.
And you know what the lyrics are, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
On the Carolina in my mind. It's
a holy host of others standing around me.
on the Carolina in my mind. It's
A holy host of others standing around me.
on the Carolina in my mind.
It's a holy host of others standing around me.
You're getting closer. Let's do a couple more.
It's a holy host of others standing around me.
Let's stop it for the moment. Do you feel like you're behind him?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, because you're on my side.
Well, I'm trying not to get ahead of him, so I'm getting behind him.
Well, you got a little ways to go.
Oh, and I'm kind of listening to get the pitch.
Okay, so this is what the listening is for. And again, we didn't get time to do that, but at this point, I would say go listen. I'd say stop singing. Go listen, because it isn't integrated yet. You're not feeling it, and so when you can't feel it, which is normal, then you try to match. And the problem is when you try to match, you're always behind.
Yeah.
Always is a little bit strong, but most of the time behind, because you hear that coming, and you know he's going to go ba-da-bum, and so you just want to be right there, and you're late because you're trying to be right there. But if you already feel it like James did, and it's already internalized, then you'll just sing along with him in perfect unison. And that's our goal. The goal, and I'll show you a demonstration of that a little bit later, but our goal here is to be in perfect unison with James, because once we've done that, we know exactly how he does what he does, and then we can add it to our artistry, which is really the point here. This whole process is about being an artist, not being a cover singer. Couple of things I want to point out that he did here. I'm going to play it one more time and get it fresh on my mind.
On the Carolina in my mind. It's a holy host of others stand around me.
Now, I think this is interesting because he's dragging.
Yeah, because he's actually, the lyrics are.
An echo just came in on your end.
Just a second, I gotta mute this.
Okay, yeah, mute me, sure.
Okay, so the just a second, I'm having a moment from standing too long here.
Oh, sorry. Well,
with a holy host of others standing around me, and in other versions of this, he's not quite as sloppy with it.
Okay.
So he's singing here. It's a holy host of others standing, and he doesn't even get a good stand in there. It's just standing around me. So he's just putting an apostrophe N.
Yeah, usually they don't sing ings.
Around me, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. In today's music, it's mostly slang. So it's I'm coming to town. It's not I'm coming to town. You don't hear that very much in this style of music.
Yeah, except I'd like to go. I think I'd go back to this is obviously later. He's singing it later because he's all bald.
Yeah.
You can kind of tell that in my recollection of earlier versions, he says, with a holy host of others standing around me, which is, so I'm trying to shift in my head from the way I learned it to the way he's singing it here. Just not an excuse, just an observation.
No. Well, and that's what this is all about, Ken. So, you're not going to get any argument from me. This is all about observation.
Around me.
As I said earlier, this is not about perfection. I don't teach perfection. I help people learn what they want to know, and if it is perfect, then fine, that's what we'll do. And as you noticed, or at least I've noticed on Melodyne, singers will go in and out of perfect on those rules. They'll go flat, flat, on pitch, sharp, on pitch, flat, flat, on pitch, and maybe rhythm. They'll push, pull. They'll be ahead of the rhythm, then they'll be on the rhythm, then they'll be behind the rhythm. So like we were talking about, they play with the rules. I'm just turning the temperature down here in my room so I'm not so hot.
Well, I don't know about as much about like the trajectory of pop, but in the folk singer-songwriter tradition, we're trying to find a balance between singing on pitch so that it makes sense melodically and telling the story. And for most of us, I mean, I think every human, nobody speaks with a perfect pitch.
Exactly.
We're always moving up and down. We're always affected by our emotional standing, or whether we're hollering at somebody or we're speaking quietly. So it really becomes a matter of how do I customize how I think I feel other people are perceiving my message. And so I don't think he's worried. He's kind of like Bob Dylan. He's not worried about being on pitch. He wrote the song and he sings it. People like it. And when he does that, and then when he puts a choir behind him, holy cow.
Yeah, and they have to be more on pitch and more on rhythm than he does.
Right, when they can pull you up, But so many of us don't work with, we work with our voice and our guitar.
Right, but not the other singers.
But we don't work with piano. We don't have, lead. We don't have somebody to pull us into the song. I know when I sing with somebody playing the piano, I'm much more on pitch even with my own music. Because it's just there. You've got, three, at least two octaves with the same note. You can, if you're used to hearing it. And I started in choir, so I kind of listened for those robust chords.
Well, a piano is more in tune than a guitar.
Oh, yeah.
Guitars don't tune as well as pianos, like interval-wise. The major third on the piano may not sound the same on a guitar.
No, because you're putting your fingers on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the bridge, and they just, you pull up a Stratocaster. One of the things that made Stratocasters great was their harmonics were off.
Oh, I still mess around with mine trying to get it to
forget it.
sound good. And then I put it down and pick up my acoustic.
You can't get that tubular effect without being a little inharmonic, right?
Well, I think and I don't play well electrically, and that might be something this year I'd work on too, is getting some different sounds. But you get to be covered. Yeah, you called it the tubular effect, but you're covered a little bit by the volume and the distortion anyway.
Yeah.
So and you're bending with much more frequency than you do on
acoustic.
A stiffer
or
acoustic.
Especially piano, you can't bend at all.
You can't bend at all.
Even though these new keyboards, and one of my students has just bought one of these new ones that'll play any pitch in between. So they can sound almost exactly like a saxophone player bending notes and guitar players bending notes. It's pretty incredible. But it's taken decades. Pianists have always been jealous of singers and lead guitar players and lead saxophone players because we could play in the cracks, they called it.
Right.
You guys play in the cracks. We can't do that, So now they can. So it's always been really important. And what Ken was saying about the speaking if you listen to James singing in different venues, and when he was in the studio doing it, and when he did with this concert and that concert, if you listen carefully after you have listened to what he's doing here, it's going to be different every time. Exactly why Ken said, because he feels different. He's a human being. He's dynamic. So it's not always the same. So again, this is approximation. The next thing we do, and I'll have you do this, Ken, so that you could learn from it and other people can learn from it. We're going to record singing, listening to Ken sing along with James. And the purpose is not to see if we are becoming James, but if we're matching the unison. If we're not matching the unison, that gives us information to go back and listen, and then when we start singing next time, we'll have more information about where we should be. So we just, on the keyboard here, we just click Shift-R and record Ken singing. Here we go.
A holy host of others standing around me.
Okay. Now Ken will actually be able to hear without singing.
Lovely.
Yeah. What was good and what was not so good.
This is where you got to go, folks.
Yeah, you can't. Otherwise,
As they say, warts and all.
Yeah, Shannon was talking about some young singer that, I don't know, she took issue with on social media, that said she was 24 and she'd paid her dues and she knew everything.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, the girl's got a long way to go. As we said in the South, she's got to get hit upside the head a couple times. And I don't mean that in a domestically violent way. I mean it totally metaphorically.
Yeah. But, Shannon wrote to her, says, if you think you've already got it all, I don't know what's going to happen to the rest of your career, because there's no end to this knowledge.
Well, somebody will humble you. Just like I'm fixing to get humbled here.
Yeah, okay. So here we go. But again, we're listening for how can we get closer to James. That's our goal. And of course, the dog wants to end on too.
Yes, absolutely. It's a holy host of others standing around me.
So now Ken has a much better sense of where he was ahead or behind the beat and when he was right on, because there was the line right on. I'll point that out, Ken. Right there, others. So it's so much closer than when you started. But the process here, folks, is listen first, slow it down, just like when they study athletes, they slow down their motions so they can see what's going on, so they can learn from these great athletes who seem to be natural. Great singers quite often are natural. They've not taught, because no one actually can teach this. I'm not even trying to teach it. I'm letting James teach you. I'm not one of those teachers who says, I'll teach you how to sing like James and then I sing. Well, I can approximate what James does, but I'm not James. Why learn from me when you can learn from James? I mean, this new technology is worth every penny, and this is free, so it's really cheap.
One of the things that's interesting is I was listening to that. One of my, I call it a bugaboo, is, now when I'm doing my own stuff, I don't have this problem, but is, when you're singing along, coming in sort of at the right spot with the right intonation, and I was really struggling with holy as a word, period, and then you got a holy host, so it's really a challenge. But I felt like as I got to the standing round me, it was starting to come together at that point. I wasn't struggling quite as much.
Yeah, exactly. And the more you hear it, actually, you'll struggle even less. I know most of our instincts is, well, let's just go back and sing it more. But then we miss all these details again. So, because when you're singing along with James, you can't really hear him. That's why we go back to listening.
But I would try something here.
Okay, cool.
We don't have to do it today, but I think for demonstration purposes, before we get into the slow version.
Oh, I've already slowed it down.
Right. Before we get there,
is
to sing it 3 or 4 times like we would have if we were in the living room with a microphone.
Oh, right. We
Yeah,
didn't do
so-
that demonstration. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
you
cool. We'll do it.
get the rhythm, because one of the things that's a challenge with it slowed down is trying to slow it down,
Mm-hmm.
which once you've tried it and you think you got it, then you do it.
Well,
Then
yeah.
you'll
You start speeding it back up. I'm sorry.
Then you'll start seeing where you think you got it, but you don't.
We mean going from fast to slow?
Right.
Yeah, that's why I played it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, go ahead, sing it. Actually, I did run into that yesterday. The girl actually knew it really well. She had already kind of figured out a lot of the right things. And so I slowed it down, and we pointed out a few things, and then she sang along with it. She was pretty much right on, so I went right back to the original tempo.
Yeah. So just for the record, the phrase that I kind of thought we were going to work on is Carolina in my mind. And this is a whole different thing, which is fine. Because
It's good.
It's like,
It's great.
It's brand new.
Yeah.
And because I don't usually get this far in the song.
This is
So-
live TV, guys.
There you go. So, I mean, I think there's an option. Take a piece of the music that you don't know. A lot of us will pick up and sing the first verse or the chorus and do that over and over again. And then you get to verse 4 like this, and you're struggling.
Right, because you haven't done it enough times.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they say that you have to practice a song in your living room at least 100 times and sing it in public at least 8. I don't know where those numbers came from, but they
don't either.
work.
But this is much faster.
Yeah.
If you do it this way,
Right.
actually, it's faster to fake it, right? So, like I don't know this, right? So if I just start singing along with him, I'll be the bad guy here, or the dummy. It's a holy what?
Holy host of others.
Host, okay. It's a holy host around and around me. All right, so I couldn't really hear what I was doing because James is there. So, hey, I sound good, man. Now, you guys heard the reality of that. It wasn't that great. And so I would have to go back to listening and slowing it down until I could understand and feel what's going on. Otherwise, I'm on stage, and believe me, when we were on tour, sometimes we only had a day to learn a song, and so I was, driving from one place to another with the lyrics next to me, in my mind, taking one line at a time and trying to memorize it while I'm driving, because I'm going to try to do the whole thing. But so when we got up on stage, I didn't really know if I got it or not, and at that point, it didn't matter so much. But now it's all about being a great artist, and that's what we're going to talk about now. And Ken's already been alluding to it, that this is just basic information. It's not how we want to actually sing and live our lives. This is just so that we can create our own. And I've used a stem splitter here. So guess what, Ken? I'm going to remove James' voice, and you can sing it. You know it from the beginning, right?
Well, yeah,
no?
kinda.
Yes, no?
Well, we could do a little bit from the beginning.
All right, so I'll play a little bit from the beginning. With James, and then I'll explain the stem splitters again. So I'm going to remove this highlighted area here and remove the bookmarks. So we're just going to listen to a little bit, and then Ken's going to sing along.
In my
mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you just see the sunshine?
Good.
Can't you just
Can't feel the moonshine?
leaning
It's
just
like a friend of mine to hit me from behind. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind.
Okay. Now, the neat thing about stem splitters is you can see I have 2 tracks. So this track is all music here, and this track is James. So now Ken can put his own style in here, which basically he already was doing.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute James' voice, and Ken's just going to sing approximately that much in his own way, his own style. This is the long-term goal.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you just see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Isn't it like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? I'm going to Carolina in my mind. It is really hard with
that's
this.
strange guitar playing. You're right. I'm sorry.
I said it's difficult moving it slow.
Oh, this is the original tempo, supposedly.
No.
No, it's not.
No. In my mind, I'm going to Carolina.
All right, so this track has been bastardized. I'm gonna see if I can't fix it.
You might have gone.
I may undo. Hold on, just a second.
As we say, a step too far.
Yeah. Undo amplify. Undo record. Undo channel. Oh yeah, see, this is when I was working on it earlier. All right, there's this. Okay, so this should be the original tempo. I'm just going to play a little bit of it, and you tell me if this is right now.
And he takes I'm going to Carolina.
Is that the right tempo?
Yeah.
Okay, well, all right. So the place we'd be at now is, okay, he knows basically the melody. He knows basically what to do. He knows the words. But is there emotion yet? And probably not, because at this point we're thinking, we're introspecting, what's the melody, what are the words, how does this go? But the next step is called sing from feel. And the point of that is to sing it your own way with your emotions driving your phrasing. Now this takes a lot of learning from other singers. And when you hear artists that are being interviewed that have sung great things and written great things, and they say, how did you do that? They say, oh, well, so-and-so influenced me. I was influenced by James Taylor. I was influenced by Aretha Franklin. I was influenced by Ariana Grande, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's what we're doing here. We're being influenced by these great singers, but we're just doing it in much more detail. So now the question I ask Ken is, Ken, what do those words mean to you? Not to James, but to you when you sing. Can you think of the whole line, or do you want to take less?
Well, if
just
you
a couple
do,
of words?
In my mind, I've gone to Carolina.
Right.
So you've always been there, right? You're going back. If you've been to North Carolina in particular.
Have you been there?
Oh yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Asheville. I had a motorcycle crash over in Sapphire,
Ouch.
North Carolina. So I have to be careful not to touch that emotional moment.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's a beautiful state. It has, in most places, a peace to it. You're in the Smoky Mountains, especially if you're over by Asheville. And I have some friends over there that, and actually my sister lives in Franklin now. Yeah. So there's a whole, Carolina it's really, in this song, is not as much of a geographical place as it is a place of trying to figure things out and not necessarily being at peace with yourself, but being in the world. Okay,
now here's the bottom line. What does it feel like to think of those things to you? What do you feel when you think of? You explained it very well, but how does it feel to you?
There's a sadness because you ain't there, right? So it's a wistful.
So you feel sad, right?
I might feel more wistful.
Wistful? Okay.
Yeah,
wistful.
And I'm more like saying, hey, I'd rather be someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, he says at the end.
Is what feeling goes with I'd rather be something somewhere else?
Well, I'm gone.
And what does that feel
like? Carolina in my mind.
Okay, get back to what it feels like, not what it says, but what it feels like.
Oh, okay. It feels like being in a cool, dark space.
Okay, excellent.
Right.
What does it feel like to be in a cool, dark space? What's the emotion of being in a cool, dark space? Yeah.
That's a good question, because I think it's, there's a bunch of layers here, but
yeah, exactly. That's what we're getting.
So we're going to pick apart. Yep. So we're in a cool, dark spot. We can think. I can feel more. It feels a little musty. It feels a little bit like I want to open up the door. But that doesn't feel all that bad because I don't have to deal with all the stuff that's going on out in that bright world.
Again, can you bring it back to emotions? Like, okay, so that feels chill. It feels like I'm in a great space, or it feels like I want to get out.
Well, he actually invites you to feel the moonshine, feel the sunshine.
Yes.
See
because he's
moonshine.
feeling it. He's seeing it. He's feeling it.
Right. So you just go along for the ride on this one.
Exactly. Okay, so this time when you sing it, I'll just play the track. You've got enough music in you that you can just feel those emotions, and it will influence the way you sing. And this is the bottom line, guys. Great artists do this. They feel it and they sing it, and that's why I came up with the term "sing from feel." And I've written a book on it, and it's available. I'll show you the QR on the upper right-hand corner. You can put your camera there and take a look at it. It's very detailed about how to sing from emotions and how all the great artists do it. There's great quotations from people. There's examples of other great artists and so forth. But once you have the music in you like Ken does, you can start to do this. You can start to say, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. I kind of know the melody. I kind of know the words, but I want to sing with emotion. So that's what Ken's going to do this time. At least that's what I'm asking him to do, is sing with the emotion, not just trying to sing the words. Here we go.
In my mind, I'm going to Carolina.
Sorry, I with this new track, I didn't have James muted.
Yeah. Well, it's helpful because I can tell
No, I don't want him there.
He leads in for I don't know how many counts. I should probably count it off.
No. Just feel it.
But
just feel it. You're not going to necessarily like what comes out, but just feel it. Okay, here we go. I've muted him this time.
In my mind, I'm going to Carolina. Can't you just see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Isn't it like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? I'm going to Carolina in my mind.
I don't know about the rest of you, but...
So
wow.
that's pretty much how I would play it if I were, when I accompany myself.
Ken, that was so much better. I don't know. That was really good. I've worked with Ken quite a bit over the year and a half or 2 years now. And that was one of your best performances.
Well,
that was really good.
I'll take that to the bank.
Yeah. Let's record it so you can have it to listen to later on.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you just see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Isn't it like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? I'm gone to Carolina in my mind.
Okay. Now you get to listen to that back. That's going to be a treat. And again, as an artist, he may say, well, I felt this and didn't feel that and I felt this. So, you could, maybe do, I'm going to select the audio. You could do maybe 20 or 30 takes and, take the best of what you want to do. It's called comping. It's very common in practice and actual recording. Where am I? Okay, so I've highlighted it. Oh, yeah, I need to bring the volume up. There we go. All right, here it is, folks. Ken and James Taylor playing guitar.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you just see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Isn't it like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? I'm gone to Carolina in my mind.
Now, there must be a little bit of latency in the system because you weren't that far behind in the actual performance. But you can listen to it on YouTube. Listen there. But there must be some delay. Even though the Fireplay says that we've got very low latency. We couldn't even do this without Fireplay. I'm not going to make a big pitch out of it, but I use Fireplay all the time with online work because there's very little latency. But in this case, I think the system, the way we've got it hooked up, there's a little bit more than I'd like, but I don't think we can fix it, not for this situation. But it's a whole lot better than Zoom or Skype. So if you want to do this kind of work online with different people, I would suggest farplay.io. But again, the feel was, again, much better. The fact that you maybe would go back and say, well, maybe I would drag that out a little bit longer and so forth, that's fine. But you were there, you were very present, you sang with your heart. Those are the really important things. The details come later.
Oh, about 4 or 5 takes from now, I'd have the breath behind it, and I'm still thinking. I can tell I'm thinking while I'm singing.
Sure.
So, but I would recommend it is hard to listen to yourself.
Yes.
It takes a lot of ego strength just to say, that sounds awful. I don't want anybody to hear that. When in fact, other people, you cannot hear yourself like other people hear you.
That's right.
And so where I feel, if you Melodyne that, I could tell you exactly where I was flat and where I would tailed off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And when I play it, I have the power of my chords behind it. So I get to kind of get a little bit of different strength to it.
Well, this is very impromptu. I mean, you're basically improvising.
Yeah.
We have, you don't necessarily know exactly what James is doing on the guitar. I mean, this is like just off the top of your head. So yeah, there's a tremendous amount of work to be done from here. What we're trying to do is learn something and let other people learn along with us. And the book talks about what Ken just talked about. I call it my redundancy theory. And again, the QR on the right-hand side of the screen is where you can look at that. The redundancy theory basically says, and the reason I thought of this and made this up, if you will, is because I've worked with singers who've done millions of records, and they hate their own recordings. They don't want to hear them. They think they suck. And they've sold millions of records. So that put me on the path. Why? What's going on here? Now, actors do the same thing. They say, I don't want to watch that movie that was a blockbuster. I want to see myself on that screen. And the reason I believe it is very simple. We're the one who did it. So if I record it, I'm the one who said it, and I did it. Now I'm talking to myself, listening back. Because it's not 2 people, it's 1. So it's redundant. I can't hear the blue, the purple, the green. I don't hear those things. All I hear is the gray and the black and sometimes the white. Meaning the pitch and the rhythm, like Ken says, yeah, I can tell you where I was flat, and I can tell you where I was sharp. But what we can't usually tell you is I felt the emotion. But the good news is when you feel the emotion when you're singing, and Ken's experienced this, you know you did it. You don't have to hear it back because it was in you. You felt it. And nobody has to tell you, oh, you felt that, Ken. Well, duh, yeah, I know. I mean, that's his experience. And all he's doing is letting us listen to his experience. It's beautiful, the way it works. But I still don't recommend self-production. I still recommend you always have a producer during your tracking, helping you feel it better, stronger, with more confidence, because someone in there on the other side of the glass is saying, yeah, Ken, I really felt that. I'm glad and then you can say, I'm glad you felt it because I felt it too. There's camaraderie. And then the producer is the one who calls it, says, okay, that's it. That's a take. Just like in movies with the directors. They're the ones who decide if the character came through or not the actor. So if the character came through and they really felt it because the person really acted it, then it's a take. So it's the same thing for them. One more demonstration I'll put up for everyone is this little thing I did where the singer learned from Ed Sheeran, and there's a riff in it that's really fast. I mean, it's like, it's moving, and almost too fast to understand what was going on just listening to it. So it was slowed way down. It was melodined to see exactly what Ed was doing, because Ed is not singing. I mean, these are the notes, but it doesn't sound like that when he's singing. If you look on Melodyne, you see flat notes in there, and you see things that are not perfectly in rhythm. It's not quantized. Ba-da-da-da. It's a feel. So when you first listen to the beginning of this demonstration, you'll note that you're just going to hear Ed first. Now I'm going to put this up on the screen so you can see the text that goes along with this. So sharing. I'm going to go put this back at the beginning. Hold on, folks. Oh, come on.
Hi, this is Brad.
See, I started to play. All right, there we go. All right, now let me put it up on the stage so you all can see it. There we go. Adding it to the stage. And yeah, you can see, you guys can see the whole thing. Okay, so I'm just going to play this now, and I really don't have to say much other than I want you to point out that that riff is very, very fast. Too fast to really hear exactly what was going on, at least for me. There might be other people out there who go, "Oh, you're stupid, I heard that." You know, it depends on where you've been, what you've done, and how you've done it, whether you are right in line with this without going through the process that I took the singer through. But it also demonstrates what Ken was talking about, where you just sing along first. So you get to hear Ed do just this one phrase. Actually, there's 3 or 4 together. It made sense to do the whole thing. And then you're going to hear the singer just learning it for the first time, never really slowing anything down or any of that. And then the last recording will be the results of what we just did, slowing it down, getting every line, and then speeding it back up to the original recording. Do you see it okay, Ken?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Hi, this is Brad Chapman, Radical Vocal Coach. I'm going to show you how Ed Sheeran is such a great, incredible star, etc. In other words, not only him, but you'll see why it adapts to any singer. The way we try to learn from these people has not been working. Didn't work for me, doesn't work for hardly any student I've had or anybody I've ever known. So I'm going to show you the way we do it, and you'll see why it doesn't work. Then I'll show you the results of my VMS system, and you're going to love it. Hang on for a great ride.
That's Vocal Muse Suite. Here comes the riff.
Well, I'm in love with the shape of you. We're push and pull like a magnet do. And though my heart keeps falling too, I'm in love with your body now. Or I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. And though my heart keeps falling too, I'm in love with your body now.
So the singer never would have gotten that riff without slowing it down. It's just way too fast and complicated. You've seen that before, Ken, but do you have any questions about it?
No, just especially with some pop singers, they're just whooping through it, so you don't get a chance to really get the how he steps that down and just puts a little flourish in it.
Yeah, he's he uses that steady time. He uses that loop thing, and that's a live recording. He doesn't do that in the studio session. That's why I picked it as a challenge. So if you want to learn, Christina Aguilera's riffs, or not the guys, not so much that do that, but Rascal Flatts does a lot of riffs. You can learn from those men as well how to do the riffs. You can learn the women's riffs. They're really basically the same thing. It's almost all what they call the pentatonic scale or the blues scale, and so everybody's riffing is pretty much doing that. That riff that Ed did, that's kind of pentatonic because he left the third out. So it's 5-4-2-1 instead of 5-4-3-2-1 would be the actual scale, but he left that out, so it's more of a pentatonic, like a guitar riff, and that's how that works. And again, that's just a stepping stone. The next thing for that singer to do would be to do it his own way and find his own art. And that kind of finishes the whole process. So I hope you all learned a lot. I know I have. Every time I do this, I learn more. When my guests pick the celebrity that we get to look at, I learn something new. When Ken says things that I think are very interesting, I learn something new. So this is very much a listening show. This is not about entertaining you by having a duck on the show or something like that. Quack, quack, except for Ken's dog.
I resemble that remark.
I would just say... But your dog helps. You've got a little bark in there.
Somewhere I've got a duck collar around here, too, just in case of emergency.
That's funny. But we are having fun, as you could tell, so I hope you all are having fun, too. So, come to the next show. If you thought this went by too quick, you can review it anytime you want by going to my station, which is right where you're watching this on YouTube, or you can just go to Brad Chapman, Radical Vocal Coach, on YouTube and find me there, and you can find these live shows are in the live section. and you can review what we did, and maybe you can slow it down. You can put it on an audio player and slow it down and see what we did. You know, hey, how did those guys do that? How did Ken do that one line? You know, I want to know. So it's great. Any last comments, Ken?
Nope, I think we're good. I think we probably could call it a wrap, and hopefully, as people pick up on these programs, they can get enthusiastic and give you a buzz.
Well, a buzz, or you can, like, say, buy the programs online. The one's a video program, which if you don't want to study with somebody privately, does work. It does not give vocal technique. Vocal technique, I do not believe, should be taught by video program or book or audio program. Even though it's done a lot, I've seen some pretty bad results of it, so I don't do it. I wouldn't give Ken an exercise and tell him to go home and do it, because then I'd be a blind, deaf voice teacher. I wouldn't have any idea what Ken did with what I gave him. So I don't do that. So the book's not that way. It doesn't have any technique in it. The video programs doesn't have any technique in it. So if you need technique, go to a private teacher, me or somebody else. Go to a private teacher and get your technique down so you can hit the G6s. That's a whistle voice for women. So that's pretty high. Not too many men. I got to C6. When I was really headstrong about gaining range, I did get to C6. Occasional D, I'd slip one out above that C, but never G6. I was like, no, don't think so. So you set the bar too high for me, Ken.
Well, it's just I'll just call you Ariana from here on out. So.
Okay, everybody. Thanks so much for coming and watching the show, and hope to meet you someday. Bye-bye.